Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make your own custom shroud and sew it to your mask. Let's get into it. Really quick before we begin, I'm sorry I've taken a while to get back to the channel. It's not intentional. I have quite a few things going on in my own personal life, business-wise, work, but finally I'm back and I'm able to make a video for you guys, so I'm very excited. Thank you to the many that stayed here, and even the new subscribers. You won't be disappointed. So we're going to start with the supply list. First is this mini handheld sewing machine that I bought. I bought it at a local craft store. It was only around 20 bucks, so it's a pretty good deal, and it could come in handy for many future projects. We're also going to want a sewing needle. I just bought this pack from Walmart, super cheap, and it's all different sizes. I don't know if the different sizes mean anything, but you guys can definitely inform me in the comments below. Next thing is a seam ripper. This isn't really necessary, but it does make some of the steps a lot faster. Just in case you don't know what a seam ripper is, this is what it looks like, and it helps get under stitches and cut them a lot easier. I hope you can see that. You're definitely going to want a piece of cardboard. This will help tremendously with getting a template for a shroud. Some scissors, self-explanatory. A pen, you'll see, very self-explanatory as well. Some binder clips. These are also very, very cheap at Walmart. Definitely a huge help in this process. Very important are oh my god, I'm sorry. Of course, very importantly, our black fabric. This is from Hobby Lobby. They're always having sales, so keep an eye out for that. I was able to get a fair amount for very, very cheap. This is more than enough, and it was like maybe 15 bucks or so, but definitely a lot more than I was expecting for 15 bucks. And last but not least, our mask. Again, some of the supplies aren't very necessary, but they definitely do help and make things a lot easier. With all that said, let's get into making our custom shroud. Alright, we're going to start with our first step, which is removing the shroud. You're going to turn your mask inside out to expose the stitching on the inner side, as you can see. And we're going to be using our seam ripper. So we're going to go under each stitch and cut each individual stitch. I don't think it necessarily has to be every single stitch, but it'll make things a lot easier in the end to remove the mask from the shroud. You can for sure use scissors, but the seam ripper definitely helps a lot. So let's get started. So as you can see, I got most of the stitching taken apart. It should make it a lot easier to separate the mask from the shroud. So we're going to try and do that carefully so that we don't completely shred the shroud, because we're going to use it for a template. It's a very satisfying sound. I'm sorry. There we go. So now we have our shroud separated from our mask. So now we're going to focus on removing the tassels, I believe they're called, from the actual hood, so that we're left with only the hood. So we're going to start with that. This is actually a lot more difficult than I remember, so just be patient with me, please. I'm just going to skip to when this is done because this is ridiculously tedious. So now we have our tassels removed from the hood, so we're left with this. Of course, I did manage to mess it up and shred a couple sections, but that shouldn't matter too much in the end. When we make our template, we'll be able to redraw that in and it won't be any issue later on. So now for our next step, we're going to be using our cardboard and our pen to make our template. First, most importantly, is to turn the shroud inside out so we have an exact template of how you're going to sew it together and how it's going to reverse back into the original form, being the proper hood like this. So let's turn it inside out. We're going to lay it down as neatly as possible. Luckily, this cardboard piece is like almost the exact size, so probably makes things a little bit easier for me. So here you can see the stitching. This is normally how it works, where everything's inside out. You stitch it, and then when you flip it inside out, all of the stitching is hidden and it looks very seamless. It looks very nice. But yeah, we're going to get to tracing the hood itself, and then we'll move on to our next step. So we're going to grab our pen and get started. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the more precise, of course, the better. I'm going to leave a little bit of excess at the bottom so that my hood is a little bit longer and it can be tucked in further into my robe. So now we finished tracing the hood itself. We can take it off, and now we have our template traced onto the cardboard. We're going to cut it out with our scissors so we can use it as a template to cut out of our new material. And there you have it, the template for our hood. For our next step, we're going to be using our black fabric. We're going to cut out 2 big rectangles to put together, and we're going to try our best to cut the shape of the template out of the new fabric. So here, as you can see, I cut out 1 big piece and folded it in half and made sure that our template fits perfectly within that. And now we can get started with the next step. We're going to try our best to cut the shape of the template out of our new material and hopefully keep it as even and clean as possible. So let's start with that. As you can see, I am struggling a bit. This isn't the way I had originally done it, but even back then when I tried another method, it didn't work very well for me. So I'm trying this one out, and so far, I think it might just be the way that I'm doing it on this table that might be messing me up, but I'm trying my best to keep cutting as neatly as possible. So I'm going to continue. So as you can see, mine is very jagged and I could correct it, but to me it doesn't matter personally because after we stitch everything together, all of it is going to be hidden anyway, aside from the bottom part here, which won't really matter in the end because it's going to be tucked into your robe. Again, you could go back and round everything out with your scissors or whatever kind of blade you'd prefer to use, but again, right now we're just trying to show you the basic steps of how to get this started, and I'm sure you guys can come up with more efficient methods for yourself. So now that we have this finished, our next step is going to be sewing it closed. So as you can see, comparing them side by side, this one of course is the original. Looks a lot more neater because it's probably cut out of a machine and made easy for whatever factory they're making them in, but it's close enough. It should be a good starting point. We're going to start sewing from the top of the head towards the back side of your head, and then from here on the chin down to whatever this would be considered like the neck or the very bottom. So we're going to do that with our new pieces. We're going to try and line everything up the best that we can. This machine is going to make everything a lot easier for us. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to try and do it, at least from how I remember to use it, and hopefully I don't mess this up. Let's test this out. I haven't used this in quite a while. Amazing. All of the batteries just flew out of the back. Maybe there's a reason it was 20 bucks. I'm so done with this machine. So I'm just going to tie these together, these 2 threads, and that will be the end of this stitch right here. I will also be sewing the back over here at the back side of the head, and then we can move on to the chin area. From right here, where the chin of the mask would be, down to the bottom. Let's get to it. Hopefully it works as it should. And just as expected, it didn't even sew anything. So I'm gonna fix it again. I'm gonna give this one more try, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to just hand sew it because this is just an absolute nightmare. Finally, it actually worked as it was supposed to. Thank you for being patient. We're just going to knot the loose ends and then we can finally move to the next step. As you can see, now that we've tied our loose ends, this is what we have, and now we can flip it inside out just to see how sturdy it actually is. So as you can see, it's now inside out and you don't see any of those jagged edges. The sewing is a little bit mid. It's kind of terrible to be honest, but again, you don't see any of those chopped up edges that I had earlier. It's all hidden aside from the back, which when you're wearing your whole robe, you're not going to see any of that. And when we finally put our mask here in the front, these also won't show. I'm sure I'll be doing this more than once, so if I do find better methods for all of this, I will definitely be sharing them with you the soon as possible. But from here, we will continue to sewing our mask onto this new shroud. So for our next step, we're going to flip our shroud back inside out. and open it up, and we're going to be resting our mask with the chin inside like this, so it'll look something like this. From here we're going to grab our binder clips. I have my pack right here. We're just going to grab 2 of them, and you're going to try to align this fin right here with the center of the top of the mask. So once it's aligned to the center, you're going to try and get the edge of the shroud aligned with the edge of the mask the best possible, and you're going to clip it down right here at the top so it holds it in place for you. And then you're going to go a little bit further down. You're going to do the same thing near the bottom of the eye area. Make sure that the shroud is flush with the mask, otherwise it might come out a little crooked. This will just help a little bit so we're not too focused on trying to hold everything in place, and more that the binder clips do that for us so we can focus on sewing. So you're going to grab a needle and some black thread, a fairly long piece just to be sure that you have enough. You're going to start by looking for the inner side holes on the inside of the mask right here. You're going to try your best to follow those as a guide. It'll make things a lot easier. So you're going to probably want to start from inside going out, and you're just going to keep going inside and out through those holes. Use them as a guide. It definitely is a huge advantage. So you're going to pull it most of the way through. I'm just going to show you. You're going to want to leave a little bit of excess so that at the end you're able to knot it a lot easier. Once you have it all the way through, you're going to grab your needle, and you're going to try your best to again line up the shroud with the edge of the mask, and you're going to look at the inside of the mask here. You're going to try your best again to put the needle back through the pre-cut hole right there, or the pre-sewn hole. You're going to try to go back in, and you're going to do that back and forth, in and out, in and out, in and out. And once we get towards the bottom of the eye, then I will show you where to go from there. So there, I found it, going right back through the shroud, through the mask, back inside. You're going to pull it all the way through. Make sure it doesn't get caught in anything over here. And keep pulling it all the way through. There we go. And we basically have our first stitch. So you're going to go again, next hole, out, and back in through the next hole. You're going to keep doing that all the way down. So as you can see, I started up here and went all the way down to about a little under the eye. The string is coming from the shroud out. So now we're going to go backwards. So as you can see, our end point is a thread coming out of the shroud. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the previous stitch, being this one right here. We're going to stab back in to the stitch right here. We're going to go back in, and what this will do is this will complete the stitch right here, and on the inner side you will see in just a moment what that does. So we're going into the mask right here. We're going to pull it through all the way, and what we're going to do is right here on the inner side we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go right back into this stitch right here, just like that. We're going to pull it through. As you can see, it's starting to close up and everything's going to be aligning together. As you can see, mine's a little crooked. I'm not going to say that I'm super amazing at stitching, but it's good enough and it should hold up. We're going to continue this process back on the outside, going in and out and in and out until we have a full circuit going all the way through to the top. So I'm going to skip right to that. So as you can see right here at the end, everything meets up perfectly. We can cut off the excess and tie the knot at the very end here, and that'll close up the first section. I think I'm going to keep this clip up here because it'll still come in handy for the other side, but as for this side, we're able to take this off and everything is already holding up together, so we can turn it over and set up our other clip right here on this side. So as before, we're going to do the exact same thing just on the other side. I will be cutting to when I'm finished. That'll make things a little bit faster for you guys. So again, you can see it ends perfectly right here. We're able to snip it again, tie the knot at the end, and we're done with the upper half. Right here you can see all of the progress we've made, and if we flip it inside out, you can see that it's already coming into place very nicely. All of that jagged cutting is very hidden. You won't be seeing any of that. And next is going to be the chin area. It is going to be the exact same thing, but I'm going to show you the starting point for that, and hopefully we can just skip through it and it should be very easy to follow along. So I did notice that I kind of stitched a little high right here where the chin is supposed to sit. As you can see, it's back here. So what I'm going to do is possibly undo the stitching here, continue sewing all the way down, and it might even meet up where I finished cutting it open here. And if not, you can just come back and sew that closed very easily with the exact same method as we've been using all the way at the top here. So again, even when we get to these lower parts right here on both sides, it's going to be the exact same method, just following those sewing holes. Looking at it now, after undoing the stitching here, if we were to continue doing it right here all the way down to the chin, it might actually hold it all together anyway, so that might work in our favor, which is really good. So again, same deal, needle with thread. We're going to go from the inside of the mask out to start, and that'll give us our starting point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here where this stitch ends. I'm going to poke right into there, out of the mask. And then again from the outside back through the inside. Try your best to keep everything as neat as possible. There we go. And again, just keep it going in and out, in and out, in and out. So as you can see here, same thing. We have our thread starting right here, and I ended it off right here at the middle of the chin at the very bottom, and it's already closing itself up anyway, which is perfect. So now again, we're going to go upwards back the other way, just as we have with the other two top sections. Just as before, we're left with this, cut off the excess, tie the knot, and repeat the process for the opposite side, and then we're done. So here's what we have once we're done with all our stitching. Now we're going to turn it inside out and see what we got. So this is our finished product. It looks pretty good shroud wise, but the material, as you can see, did stain the mask quite a bit. This is a test mask though, so I'm not too worried. I might turn it into a Scream 6 mask. We'll just have to see. Might even be part of a giveaway. I will do a quick try on for you guys to see what it's like when there's no tassels flying all over the place. It does make a huge difference, and it definitely helps with making your costume more screen accurate. Let's try it on. So that is the custom shroud walkthrough. Big shout out to Carner Collectibles. I did use his method for sewing the mask to the shroud, and it definitely helped a lot, and I hope that my visual was also very helpful. I wanted to try it out for myself, and hopefully it came out decent, or at least you guys think it came out decent. I apologize for taking a good long while to upload, but I really wanted to get this video done before anything else. We are getting closer to 500 subscribers, so if we can hit that, I will definitely be doing an awesome giveaway and hopefully uploading some exciting new unboxing and review videos for you guys. So if you aren't subscribed yet, you'll definitely want to stay tuned for all of that and more. With all that said, I'm Eddie Kills. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. I do not sleep with them.